Hello, everyone. Welcome back to SuppTalkRadio. It's a beautiful Sunday night for some of us, and for us Kiwis, it's a beautiful lunchtime for some of you folks. As always, I am joined by some of my closest friends in the industry. David Frederickson, well-known reviewer. Jake of ASC Extremis Supplements and NutriCartel. We have Shane of Stack 3D, and of course, Robic of Apollo Nutrition. Welcome, everybody.
Hey,
What's up?
So I first want to say Robic's the one that kind of put this craziness together. So everybody, hats off to him, and we'll see how long we can keep the train on the tracks here. So I want to start a little hot here because this is going to be a question open to everybody, from obviously the brand owners and then the consumers, being David and Shane. A common term right now with pre-workouts is the kitchen sink. I'm hearing this from a lot of different people, with people throwing in 10, 12, 15 ingredients in their pre-workouts. Now, for Robic and Jake, I know your pre-workouts are pretty much stacked. Can you guys validate why you use so much and you're not really throwing in the kitchen sink? There's more science or thought behind it?
Jake, you want to go first?
You go first.
Sure. You know what? I could care less for that term, because the thing is that it came out recently, more or less. I can see the reason for it. But to be honest with you, if we are saying kitchen sink, then I've been throwing kitchen sink for the past couple of years, probably from the get start. So I will take pride in it and say that I'm one of the first ones. Although I think that that should go also to NutraBio in a way, and you should go to Jim Stepani, kind of. But when it comes to really, really throwing a kitchen sink, I don't like the term, to be honest, but I can definitely see the place for it, especially with what's going on right now. But if you look at Upon, say, for example, and Jake as well, we don't throw ingredients that just basically, let's throw everything at the, whatever dosage just for it to be there. And I've seen supplement facts where you have tyrosine at 250 milligram, or you have caffeine dimalate, which is 75%, you have at 25 milligram. I mean, might as well call it a non-stim. So it's complete bullshit. So when it comes to that, yeah, I guess you can say it's a kitchen sink, because let's just list a bunch of ingredients. And typically there is a trick, just like before we started the show, you said about Black Friday, where companies say, well, here's 40% off, but they're increasing the prices by about 20%. So there is a trick to it, obviously, where they're cheating the consumer. It's exactly the same that goes right now with the pre-workouts. You will see, for example, look, citrulline melee, 8,000 milligram or 10,000 or even 12,000 milligram. Well, it's a citrulline melee. It's not pure citrulline. So you got to look from that perspective that it's 2-to-1 ratio. And then you will see a couple of ingredients on top of the list, which are properly listed and properly dosed. And then towards the middle or the end, it's literally just like, let's throw a bunch of shit just for the sake of it, and it's severely, and I mean severely, underdosed. That's one point. The other point is literally a kitchen sink that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. It's like, just let's get a bunch of ingredients, kind of like pizza with everything on it, does not automatically mean that it's going to taste good, because you can't, certain things just don't work together, and you still have to use your head and know what supplements, what ingredients, how does it work. So if you want to put together a well-balanced and proper pre-workout that targets everything, say pump and focus and energy, you have to put certain ingredients that work together synchronically and actually produce results. But if it's just a laundry list of bullshit, then yeah, you can call it a kitchen sink. What I do have a problem with is when supplements, for example, like I do, which a lot goes into the process, kind of, thrown into the mix and say, well, this is a kitchen sink. No, it's not. It's actually 3, 4, 5 ingredients that target specific needs. And that's the reason where I think it's extremely important that guys like David review our products, that he can break down, each and every ingredient and say whether it works or not. No disrespect to certain, reviewers, but it's not enough just to smack. You can get a fucking 1,000 milligram pre-workout in a prop blend with nothing in it, and we know those products do exist, that's gonna smack. But is it a good pre-workout? Obviously not. Jake?
I agree, man. I think it's definitely more popular with like the newer people taking pre-workout, like on TikTok. They just see a loaded label. That's what I see, and they say, "Oh, this is the most stack. It has more of this ingredient versus that ingredient." But like what Rob said, it could just be a whole lot of nothing. Like when you're talking to somebody, sometimes it's like a nothing burger, nothing came of it, and that's kind of how some of these pre-workouts are. So massive, but it's just nothing's gonna come out of. I've seen some recently that are on these shelves here that are just like, well, you just put that there to put that there. I don't know. There's a time and place, but some people miss the mark on it.
So let me switch it over to David and Shane, because Shane, obviously you review and you also obviously use a lot of products. And David, you use a lot of pre-workouts. Is there a cap when enough is enough?
You think, Shane?
I can go.
Go ahead, Shane.
See, I understand the downside to it, because if you're spending $40, let's say $30 on a pre-workout, you would get maximum effect of all the ingredients. Now, let's say you stack two 30s together and you got $60, you're probably not going to get like that same return on absolutely everything. But I would pay $30 more to get, I don't know, 10% extra. There are a lot of people that would. So I think if you're someone who's new to the space that wants the best value, then yeah, $60 is probably, a lot of that's going to go to waste, and you're not going to get like $60 worth of a pre-workout. But I think if you, like I said, I'd pay up to $8. I'd buy Triumph to get, it won't be an exact, like, I don't know, 50%, 100% more for what I'm paying, but I would probably pay that much for 5% more. I just, like, that's just who I am. And most supplement users, hardcore supplement users would. So I don't think there's too much yet. I mean, not that I've seen. I'm willing to push the boundaries and find out.
David, agree to disagree?
Oh no, I totally agree. But like you got Jake and you got Robic, who actually put together formulas that, like Robic said, attack particular needs within the pre-workout. So they're trying to deliver pumps, they're trying to deliver focus, they're trying to deliver energy, all in a balanced form to where the hit is right. I do see a lot of so-called kitchen sink formulas where I'm looking at them and it's almost like somebody just threw a bunch of ingredients together. I mean, I put together my own stuff every once in a while, and I've had the experience of saying, okay, well, this sure as heck, if I put these two together, it limits the effect. If I put these two together, it enhances effect. So having somebody who has the knowledge to actually put these products out is a plus on these extreme formulas, so to speak. But there are a lot of companies out there that are just slapping stuff in a pre-workout, and that's why you have people like Ari or TJ will say that it didn't hit as they expected it to hit, and that's because the ingredients weren't put together properly. So we don't have enough qualified individuals like Jake and Robic to actually put pre-workouts together that actually can deliver the experience in a synergistic manner and actually have the effects be delivered at the same time. We have a lot of companies out there that are trying to mimic them by trying to throw something together that just doesn't hit right. So,
Okay.
I don't know if that really answers the question. I
think the bigger picture is that when you look at people throwing in the kitchen sink, I'd be curious what percentage, just talking out loud, what percentage people actually know what they're doing? Like Robic, we know that you're the mad scientist. Jake, we know you go down the rabbit hole, you know what you're doing. But I'd be curious, like how many people are actually knowing what they're doing instead of just saying, we're going to make it a super pump formula and throw everything in. But that's just me talking out loud.
I think that, well, first of all, thank you for a compliment. But the thing is that I could right now to my own horn and say how great I am. But the truth is The data and the information is readily available to all of us, including those that are, throwing the kitchen sink. It's not that hard to research what works and how much of certain ingredients you specifically need. It's not that. The bottom line is that I think that they want to, certain companies, what they want to do, they intentionally do throw the kitchen sink and like go, well, we're going to have 20 or 30 ingredients, 30 or 40 gram scoops, just because it's impressive. But they go with ingredients that are cheap ingredients. They also underdose certain ingredients severely where they clearly do not work. But it looks very cool to see a very long label. It looks impressive. And, Shane is somebody, like he actually said that I would pay a little extra to get a little extra. So would I, 100%. If that extra something actually gives me an edge and gives me a little extra something, 100% take my money. I will pay you for it gladly. The problem is that when you see something that doesn't work, and Shane can read the label, I mean, all of us can read the labels and we know what we are looking for. What about the customer who doesn't know how to read the label or knows, oh, well, tyrosine works? Well, there is actually a minimum need of how much you need for it to work. Or, a sulfur 6 or nitrates. I've seen nitrates at ridiculous amount that it's just not enough. We've seen citrulline. I remember one company that would put 1,000 milligrams of citrulline per scoop, which doesn't do shit, but it's in there. And I've seen
how many pre-workouts have beetroot extract in it, which only contains like 2% nitrates, and they're considered
exactly. We've seen all that. We've seen all that. I mean, it just goes to show that people will put together a bunch of ingredients that make absolutely no sense, or just for the sake of, okay, let me include this in it. Well, you did include, but what does it do? And we've seen also ingredients that doesn't do shit, and they still on the label because somebody put a little R next to it or TM. And look, that's a trademark. But is it a good trademark? Is it proven to work? So, at the end, I don't mind if it's a long list as long as it's fully dosed, as long as it does what it's supposed to. Then, yes, like Shane said, I'll gladly pay $80 for a pre-workout that works. Gladly. I'd rather play that than somebody's charging me $60 for a laundry list of pre-workout that doesn't do crap. And there's a lot of it on the market, especially right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree.
Robert, one of the things that's trending here, and I had somebody reach out, is Karolina leaving. Put it all out here.
It did. Yeah, I heard that. It did leak out that there is something coming out with Karolina attached to it.
He's going to Rise?
Yeah, it's gonna be watch stacked for news and updates. There is something that we been working on for quite some time, but no, I mean, how can the boss leave? I mean, she probably can fire me before she leaves. So yeah, that's just bullshit.
Okay. Shane, do you want to share a little bit, any updates on the Arnold Classic Stack 3D Wing?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Give us some updates.
I mean, there's not really too much to update about it. I know that the house area is like 85% sold, 80% sold. So is the entire floor of the Arnold. So if you go to the Arnold website and you look at their floor plan, there's like jack shit left. Apparently, it is going to be the most packed out Arnold in Arnold history, of terms of like how many booths and brands are taken up on the floor space. Obviously, our section is separate from the whole thing, but it's shaping up to be one of the kind of the biggest there is. We got a few little things that we're doing. Where is it? I don't know if you can see that well.
Yep.
That's we did a few, like, not things that are going to hugely draw in the crowd, but little tiny tokens and things that we're offering the brands. Pretty much anything I can do to make the expo more valuable for the guys that are in our section. Hence why we've got like, there's a B2B hour, like an industry hour for distributors and retailers to come in and chat to everyone without a crowd there. Giving away free t-shirts to our section. Pretty much whatever we can do to bring value to what the Arnold already is, rather than the brands relying entirely on what they already know. is what I'm trying to do in a nutshell. But then this has also drawn in a shitload of attention from other brands that are just wanting to be there because it's going to be one of the biggest there is, as far as I know. As far as history and records go, it'd be the most prize money, most brands, most exhibitors. Foot traffic, obviously, you won't know until the day of, probably after the show. But that's also, I don't know exact percentages, but in terms of ticket sales, like they're already way ahead of what they are in previous years as well. But yeah, if you haven't booked something or you aren't planning on it, make sure you do. That's all I can say.
But Shay, let's go back 1 second for people that maybe are listening and have no idea. So you have basically your own wing of a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen. Like, what is it exactly?
Sorry. So there, I would say 10%, 15% of the floor space is like a stacked section right at the front door. So if you walk in, I think Animals to the right, then Gym Reapers is to the left, and then just beside them there's the stack section, which is, I believe, the largest activation there is on the entire floor, or collectively the largest. So we're going to have like the carpet will be a different color, there'll be signage, there'll be bigger spaces around our area, and we're bringing together just a beastie list of brands that the cool kids is what I think everybody wants to refer to it as. And yeah, so everyone in the area gets to present and exhibit as they would normally, but surrounded by like-minded brands, similar quality brands. No one's going to be standing out above the next one, as we put a cap on the size, so you can't do like a 30-foot island. Everyone's limited to a 10 by 10 by 20 or 30. So it's ideally like a little night market of badass supplement companies. One of them's announced so far. I don't know if others want to confirm yet, but we're slowly dripping them out as we get closer and closer to the show.
Will Robic or Jake be there? Will you guys be having booths?
I'll be there.
Yeah. I gotta finish the setup with you, but there's still space for you, right?
Oh yeah, we had you down. Okay. Yeah, just the setup process is, because originally they wanted me to bring 5 brands, and they were like, "Do you reckon you could fill up 5?" And I was like, "Give me a week. I'll let you know how much I think it could do." And it's gone from 5 to like 35. So it's a lot more than anticipated. But originally, it was originally meant to be 3 aisles. So each side would have a booth, and now it's extended to 5, I think. But they kept adding, and I could add more if I wanted to, but I was like, I want people to feel like they can miss out type thing. I want to be able to cut it off and say, like, there's no more room. The only reason we have space right now is just because there's a couple guys that dropped out, and then we had a list of guys that had reached out previously that we'll give you 2 weeks to answer, and then if not, we'll move on to another one. But we're specifically going for like a sweet vibe. As you can see, Jake and Robic are a nice, pretty much a good example of the kinds of brands you're going to get in there. Inspired one of the first ones that announced. Like I said, there's about 30 others, but we just haven't sort of named any of them yet.
Sure. And it's gonna be a good one, because again, your wing, you've got the animal cage coming back, and then people that aren't coming, the event's gonna be free, or the actual stream is gonna be free, which is gonna have a lot of eyes on the prize.
Yeah, worldwide free stream.
Yeah. And for David, go ahead, Shane.
No, sorry. As far as I know, it is meant to be like the biggest one they've had in terms of exhibitors. So I think, dating back on their records, if you can remember early 2010s when you would walk through, it would take like actual day to get through every single thing. From what I've seen and what I've heard, that's pretty much what you're going to be in for. So if you go up for the day, you would have to spend the day. Or if you're like me, you can walk for 3 hours and go back home and rest and come back the next day.
Awesome. Yeah. And for David, can't forget you here. For people that don't know you, you're one of the best reviewers out there, and you've heard that over and over.
Oh, I appreciate
Robert
that.
will agree. Everyone else will agree. But question for you, being diabetic, are there any new ingredients, anything that you've tried recently that has either maybe affected your diabetes, good or bad, that maybe you'd want to share?
It's usually combination ingredients. There's not one particular for me, because I'm a type 1. But for type 2 diabetics, like berberine, stuff like that will help. But for me, because I don't produce any insulin whatsoever, I don't have the ability to actually produce insulin, to drop the sugars, or to actually raise them. it's a different ball game for me. I was taking a product just recently that had a little bit of ashwagandha. It had terkesterone, epicatogen, and ecdysterone in it. And I had stopped taking it after about 2.5 weeks. I'm gonna be doing a review on it pretty soon because my sugars were just dropping during the day. And
Really?
yeah, like every day I would give myself my normal shots and I'd just be like, okay, what's going on here? So it is interesting. It's like for me, it's just certain ingredients. I think a lot of it has to do with cellular activation and also cortisol levels. So ashwagandha could do that on its own. I think for anybody that's a diabetic out there, ashwagandha is actually a good ingredient to take in a decent amount. I mean, not to overdo it, but that's actually can be a standalone for most diabetics. I started experiencing not adverse effects with ashwagandha, but I kind of cycle on and off of it, so to speak. So, but yeah.
So you weren't able to pinpoint a certain ingredient in that blend? You think maybe it was just a synergistic of something?
I can take all those ingredients by themselves
Okay.
and very, very minimal effects, especially epicatogen. Epicatogen has probably the best effect, but that particular product, however it was dosed and the synergy as far as for glucose control, it just hit me the right way in all kinds of different aspects. Because we don't type 1 diabetics, it's not just it's really not just what we eat that raises the blood sugar. It's how our bodies are reacting. You know, when second messengers are activated, you know, we talk about cyclic GMP, CAMP, stuff like that, which actually cause the body to release carbohydrates for energy production, the fight or flight response. So throughout the day as a type 1 diabetic, my sugars are just always climbing. So I'm always adjusting as they climb.
Yep.
All day, every day.
How many meals do you generally eat a day, David, on average?
I fast, actually.
Okay.
I fast. I get home after work, and that's when I eat. For type 2 diabetics, it's not a good idea to do that. If anybody's watching as a type 2 diabetic, you want to have small meals throughout the day. That's more of a cellular problem, something wrong with the cells being impermeable and not permeable. But for type 1 diabetics, fasting is something somebody can try because every time we have to eat, we have to give ourselves a shot. So a lot of it's kind of for the mind as well. So during the day, the least amount of shots I have to worry about taking or how my sugars are going to do, the better it is for me. So that's the main reason why I'll fast during the day.
Got it. Someone had asked for all of us what attracted everyone to sports nutrition and supplements. Jake, maybe I'll start with you.
I was in the military at the time, and everybody would love taking like pre-workouts and anything with stimulants. I forget Blackstone Labs, they had this product, they still do, it's called Euphoria. People were getting blasted on that, you know, so it was just like a fun experience, you know, taking these things. So I was doing personal training on the side, and then just a random thought to start doing supplements.
Okay.
And rocky road, but we're getting good. We're getting there.
Robic, was it you for training, or was it something else that got you into supplementation?
I think just because as far as I remember, I always worked out. I was involved somehow in sport, and then once I started actually coaching people, you know, and looked more into nutrition and supplementation, I was kind of drawn into it. But I think that the fact that I always strive to, you know, when it comes to food intake and dosages and whatnot, whatever it has to do with supplements, I always wanted to make sure that whatever the athlete is taking, it's properly dosed. So it kind of, you know, then obviously the gym happened. So I would say it's kind of snowballed and it was a natural progression, so to speak.
And Shane, what about you? Because obviously this is your life.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much like most people, I went to the gym and some jacked motherfucker was like, hey, dude, you should try some protein powder. And I was like, why would I do that? And he said, well, it's the perfect thing after your workout. And he was a beast, so I listened to him. And I grabbed a tub of Rocky Road Gold Standard. It was like 2 pounds. And then I remember asking them, like, hey, how many scoops do you have? And obviously being he was like a open bodybuilder. He was like, oh, 2 scoops. And I was like, well, this guy knows. So, and then he also happened to know a guy that owned a store. And he was like, you know, and then you go to the store and you're like, holy shit, protein's like one of 50 things you could have back then. He said, you should try creatine. And I was like, sure. You guys are also huge. I'll follow suit. And then when you're in New Zealand, like in a market, like international market, you have like 5 brands. Like you don't really know, your options are limited. And then with the internet and online stores started surfacing, you started like, that's when you could explore. You'd be like, holy shit, not only is there this many supplements, there's this many brands. And I just started like importing my own stuff from the US straight. It was pretty much the same price back then. The rest was history.
But you didn't put 2 and 2 together that the guys that were giving you this advice was probably on the super creatine?
I mean, you obviously know that they are, but I've explained this to a few people. I was like, you're not going to look like that. Like, you know in your heart of hearts, like, hey man, I can bench close to him, but I don't look close to him type thing. So you gather pretty quickly, but you think in your mind like, hey, even if I can get a half of that muscle, I would look fucking huge. Right? That was the game I was going for. I knew it wasn't gonna look like that, but I thought if I could get a piece of what he's got just in his leg, oh dude, I'll be set.
And in all fairness, if nobody's met you, Shane, you're deceiving because you're very tall and you are very muscular. I'm not trying to shine here, but you and I worked out together.
I'm not tall. We've been through this. 5'11" is not tall.
Compared to Robic and I, you're tall.
Yeah, but I would say that you guys are short. 5'11" is not. Have you seen the guys like in any sports team in America? I remember like they all look like 6 foot. Then you find out the average dude's like 6'4", 6'6".
Right.
What the fuck? I don't know anyone that tall. I'm average height. I'm the shortest of my in-laws, which is great, right? So I'm not tall. I think you guys are short. No offense. I'm tall in Japan. How about that?
We all
I'm huge in China, but anyway.
Yeah.
David, what about you? I know we discussed this on our first podcast a year ago, but what got you into supplementation and down the path?
I'm sorry. Just what Shane was talking to remind me of, I think it was about a year or 2 back, I ran into Bradley Martin, and I'm 6 foot, so I'm not
He's
short. Oh man, I ran into him. We were sitting at a table, and I go, "Hey, it's Bradley Martin," to my wife, and she's like, "You're not gonna go over there, are you?" I said, "Hell yeah!" So I went over there. I'm like, "Hey man, just want to say, enjoy the channel and enjoy watching you." So he stood up, and I was like, "The dude's got to be like 6'3", 6'4". I mean, he's a big block. I mean, he's just huge. So, anyways, I thought I was just remembering that.
See?
Where I was just like, "What the heck?"
You guys are short, man. You guys are short.
So whenever somebody comments on my YouTube channel or like on TikTok, "Get off of the juice," I'm like thinking to myself, dude, you have no idea how big some of these guys are. I mean,
It's always who you're standing next to. I mean, you can be 5'5" and be tallest guy next to a guy who is 5'2". I mean, look at Lee Priest. But on the other hand, when you look at his muscle size, I mean, the guy is just huge. He's 51 or 52. And he's huge. You're standing next to him, and she's like, what the fuck?
right. Anyways, but as far as me, to be honest with you, I started to the type 1 diabetes, of course. But really, if I think back on it, I was doing CrossFit at the time. So when I actually came down with type 1 diabetes when I was doing CrossFit at a CrossFit event, actually, where it kind of perked up. But I was going through a situation, so I joined CrossFit. So I was working out like 2 times a day. And I was always I was 40-something, always trying to keep up with the 20-year-olds. Well, I was taking Siberian ginseng. I was putting things together, Rhodelia, and I was like researching it, like what can make me faster and stronger, and basically just evolved from there. When I finally kind of got to a point where I saw people with getting their shoulders strapped and tacked together from CrossFit, and decided to go off on my own and do gym work. I started to dive just more into trying to take control of the diabetes, so to speak, and then started just diving into how the cells work and everything. And That's pretty much. And here I am now. My wife has to tell me, "What are you doing on the computer?" I'm diving down the rabbit hole, baby, because I start going down the rabbit hole of like information. So I just love doing it. I love figuring things out.
Most people just take whatever their friends tell them to take, but you're the first one that's researching before you take it.
Exactly. Yeah, you can tell me about an ingredient, but I'm going to find out about it first. Right.
So we have a comment for Shane and Robic from our good friend Dave Cook. What did you guys think of Supply Side West? I know Shane was testing out a new citrulline hydrochloric ingredient. Hydrochloride?
Yeah, the citrulline HCl. I ran through the whole tub. I'll tell you afterwards. But the premise is that it was three times. I think it was 3 times, maybe 4. It's a similar principle as a creatine HCl. So take 1.5 to equal 5 grams of creatine monohydrate. It was citrulline HCl was like, I think it was 2 grams to equal 6. So like, I'll tell you afterwards how it's pinged. But it was obviously the product I had it in was actually not mixed with just citrulline HCl by itself. I did ask for it by itself, but they didn't have it on hand. But it was interesting. And again, the concept is there are a lot of brands that are out there that will just grab it for the concept of
something new,
something like that. Like, get 4 grams of citrulline equal to 12. Like that statement alone is pretty strong. But yeah.
But will it overtake regular citrulline? Because what I'm hearing is like crealkaline was supposed to replace creatine, but at the end of the day, creatine monohydrate will still win. But Robert, you're shaking your head here, so go ahead and speak.
No, it's just, you see, the thing is that I haven't tried the product. I did speak about it to a few guys who were, let's just say, they fairly knowledgeable. I'm not going to say who they are. They're fairly knowledgeable people that I do respect, and they were extremely skeptical about it, like extremely skeptical. My point is that you go to an expo of that magnitude. It was beautiful. I really enjoyed it. It's nice. It was better than last year. There was a shitload of stuff there. But the truth is that you approach from booth to booth, and everybody has the new citrulline, and everybody has the new caffeine, and everybody has the best creatine. At the end of the day, I'm not saying that there is no such thing as innovation, because there is. But, just like we heard about S7 being 7,000% more effective than anything else on the market, I can say anything I want. Is it, though? Because at the end of the day, where's the data? How can you back up your claims? Does it actually work? Those are the questions that I personally, did I use certain ingredients, including S7, that do not work? Yes, I have, because I was inexperienced, and I thought, oh, look, it's a trademark. It's a cool ingredient. Let me use it. It's ineffective. It's often cheap, and there is no real data behind it to support certain claims, all of the claims. So that's the reason why we still start with citrulline, regular citrulline. This is the reason why still we have Vasodrive, because it does work. This is the reason why we still have the nitrates, because they do work. It's proven that they do work. But you have today certain ingredients that I'm not even going to name that do not do shit, but even so-called reputable brands are using them. And even though there is no data behind it, there is no proof. And just like Jake said, we all seen, something that has 2% nitrates, the beetroot and this and that. Why do people use it? Simple, because it's cheap. Simple, because they make claims that are not backed up. And the thing is that if you are not knowledgeable, and let's face it, there are a lot of people that are not knowledgeable in this space. A lot of customers don't know what the fuck they're buying. No offense, but just because C-bomb is on the label does not automatically make it good. I might be a fan of C-bomb, but doesn't mean. Now, I'm not saying that his products are not good. I do have an opinion on them, but this is not what I'm referring to. Just because somebody is on a label or somebody collaborated with a certain product does not automatically mean it's good. Just because somebody paid somebody to say that it's good does not automatically mean that the product is actually good. Just because a certain ingredient is a gray area ingredient or FDA doesn't like it, does not mean it's not a good ingredient. Because Alpha GPC, for example, is legal in the United States, but you go to Europe and it's illegal. Does it mean that it's bad? Does it mean that there is a proven data that it's bad? No, there is not. So before you make any judgments, before you purchase something, before you use anything, why don't you fucking go, just like you referred to me and Jake, and you said, oh, you guys are fully dosing products and blah, blah, blah. Well, thank you. But it's not because we are smarter than anyone else. It's because we actually care what we put in our products. I care tremendously what I put in my products. I don't want to get embarrassed by somebody like David, who's going to fucking tear me to shreds. He's going to destroy me, and rightfully so. If somebody's a certain reviewer is going to say, oh, look, your shit slaps. Yeah, fucking take Hooligan 600 milligram of caffeine. It will slap. But it also happens to be, and I'm not putting my words in his mouth, but as David said, one of his favorite pre-workouts. And I assure you, the reason is not 600 milligram of caffeine in it. That's not the reason why it's his among favorite or the favorite. I mean, he'll answer that question. That's up to him. Because of other ingredients that come together, because they're properly dosed. So when you go to an event like Supply Side West, yes, there are a lot of exhibitors. And yes, everybody says that he has the latest innovation, it's the greatest, and it's the best. But the question remains, is it? Like, for example, a company like New Live, I do respect what those guys do. I actually do like the ingredients. I do know that they put a lot into them, and I use a lot of them. Why? Because they're good. But as for creatine HCl, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm going to go on a limb here and say that I do not believe, or no, let me rephrase, I am not convinced by the claims that they have made. I'm yet to be convinced. If they convince me, I'll gladly use it. But as of right now, I don't think I'll be using the ingredient anytime soon. I don't think neither will Jake.
Okay. So, Jake, speaking of, and you may have told me or let the people know, what made you change the name of the company?
Well, I missed a small part. So when I started like a gym with a buddy of mine, like a small personal training studio. So the name of my thing was Athletic Strength and Conditioning. So it's just just the acronyms. That's what started that name. But what like drove the skull and the crown and all that was the unit I was in at the time. So in extremis is like the Latin phrase to the point of death of the unit. So I don't know. I just thought like I feel like when I talk to a lot of people, they don't really remember. They're like, oh, is that one brand A, BS, or ABC? You know what I mean? So just something to stick with people, because like Apollo Nutrition, it's Apollon. Glaxon is Glaxon, those are things that stick with people, a name. So it was just to kind of repurpose it and to also try to have something that sticks more with people.
Did you have to explain it, or do people? I mean, you got a pretty good following. Did people just automatically know, oh, that's Jake, and changing it over, or did you have to explain to people? Was there any confusion?
Well, some people still call it. Like there was somebody, awesome guy, Ronnie. He drove like 3 hours to come to the store, and he would buy it when it was ASC, and he was like, oh, you got the ASC right there, and he was like, oh shoot, I'm in extremis. So people that knew ASC, they're still gonna call it that. But eventually, once we start doing more marketing and stuff, there'll be a whole new crowd calling it.
Okay. Speaking of any new products, anything you want to share that's coming out, or?
Well, there's some stuff dropping tomorrow. I can reveal it right now. I mean, I don't know. Is that cool?
Be my guest. Please.
Do it.
Black Friday week, man. So I'll share.
You have to slow down though, because Shane's writing as we speak.
Oh,
I think already knows about it.
I think he knows.
Yeah, I already know about it. Yeah.
We got this Nootropic Mágico.
I like the purple.
Yeah. So it's pretty sick. The label came out nice. It's gonna be pretty cool. We got some flavors of Sicario Swole coming. We got 3 flavors of creatine coming.
Nice.
And where's the other one? Oh, we got the Hef in orange creamsicle. This one is more orange than creamsicle. We're launching 2 exclusives with 2 other brands, and one's a pollen. I don't know if I could disclose that just yet, but those are the ones that are from Extremis that are going to be announced tomorrow.
How's that liquid glycerol moving? Because I see a lot more brands doing the liquid glycerols.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good actually. You know, like kind of what Rob was talking, like people just throw things in there just to throw it. It's kind of the same concept with glycerol when you put it in like a product. You know, it's only like 2 or 3 grams and it's 65% pure. So you're not really getting, you know, some studies were like 20 grams to get the benefits of the hydration and stuff.
Okay.
And it also clumps the product. A lot of manufacturers don't know how to handle hygroscopic ingredients like that between their blend times and their environment. So when you get the finished product, you could store it fine, but it's already been made in like a jungle condition. So that's why a lot of products brick up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
And David, you dropped a little video. I didn't watch the whole thing where you're playing around with ingredients now. Are you kind of formulating your own little something or other? There's a video you dropped yesterday, the day before.
Yeah, just trying. I've always tried to put together something that fits me as far as what I like as far as the hit. It's not that I don't like other pre-workouts. It's just, you know, I go off to work in the morning and sometimes the extreme Araya hit, a lot of these nootropics, they just hang with you all day, and I deal with customers. So sometimes I don't feel like myself, and I don't like that like all the time.
Okay. So
I have my own little setup, messing around with ingredients, and I don't know, maybe I might do something with it later on, but it is something that I'm into. So I like to kind of see how the ingredients go together in the pre, and then if I want to switch something up or dose something more, drop something out. So, and it's a lot of learning lessons too. It's like the other day I was messing around with the inositol, which is a good ingredient for diabetics, and choline. And I started noticing at the end of the day, I was like getting tired all of a sudden, like, and then a little kind of like irritable and moody. And I dove into some research with the doses of inositol and choline together, and bam, there it was that people can react with depression. They can start getting sleepy towards the end of the day before they want to get sleepy. So I was like, enough of that. So, you know, so it's kind of like learning for me as well, you know, diving into the research, seeing how these things come together and stuff like that. So it's fun.
if you take caffeine out of the equation, are you more of a neuro guy or a pump guy?
I'm more of an energy guy. So the reason why I love Hooligan is the way it comes together. It comes together with the aggressive, the noradrenaline and adrenaline hit, rather than the dope. It still has a dopamine response. You feel good, but rather than trying to like an immense well-being feeling, so it drives you in the gym with that. It's not just the energy, because like Robert said, I could take 400 milligrams of caffeine, but if I'm not right in the head and it's not hitting me in the head, then it's not going to be like a real crushing workout that I'm going to do. So okay. I like the head hit, but I just don't like the immense dopamine hit. I like the noradrenaline, adrenaline hit. It's hard to come up. I mean, they did a real good job dialing that in with the ingredients. I know what ingredients do it. So that's why my pre is kind of designed in a way, but I'm messing around with the length of the hit.
Right.
So when I go off, you're still going to be nootropically hit. And so I like just playing around with how long it's going to hit me and how long it's going to last. Yeah.
And then, Robert, someone was asking, Branch no longer with the company? That seemed to come out of left field.
Yeah, Branch had an opportunity with his business partner that he's been with for a long time. And, you know, it was basically what's good for Apollo, what's good for Branch, and parted ways on very good terms, and that's pretty much it. There's nothing, no drama behind it, no anything complicated. It's actually all good.
And he was with you for 3 or so years. So I mean, nowadays it's a good tenure.
Well, you know, I think that when it comes to athletes in general, you know, it runs its course. Sometimes it's long term, sometimes it's not. It depends. And I think, like, does it hurt the company? No. Does it hurt Branch? I mean, hopefully he's going to do well with the new company, and hopefully it takes off and he does well. I mean, like I said, in 3 years that I've been dealing with him, he's been a class act. Always on time, always responsive, always collaborated with us on everything. I mean, Shane's been to 2 of the All-Star seminars, and Branch was absolutely outstanding. There is nothing bad I can say, and trust me, if there was, I would not hesitate for a split second. But the truth is, it was amicable, it was very respectful. We have great relationships, so we just went separate ways. But these things happen. Obviously, few people fish for some drama if there is any, but there is none.
You signed Stu Sutherland, though. You an upcoming bodybuilder, if people aren't aware. Yeah. So, and Shane, for you with Stack 3D, you're now doing the Protein Wars, but I also saw you doing an international brand of the year. Is that new, or have I just never seen that before?
No, so we added. When did we add these? Maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago. We do outside of brand of the year. We did international, newcomer, energy drink, and then functional brand of the year. So this is just like little subcategories because a lot of people asked, so I just thought it would be a good idea. And they were the best 4 that I thought, like, at least those were the 4 that I could come up with more than one nominee for. I didn't want to have like a category that was specific to, like, someone said do gaming brand of the year. I was like, well, that's like jack all guys. Like, it's not really a heated thing. Like, the same people would be the same people every year. So ideally, you wanted to make it something where the categories nominees would change. International, newcomer, functional, and energy drink was, seemed to be ideal and done well. So.
What about U.S. brand of the year? Have you given any thought to that yet? Will it be a three-peat for somebody, or?
Oh, you mean, so we call that the overall brand of the year? So an international brand could, in theory, win both. International brand of the year, basically anyone outside of North America qualifies for that. The overall brand of the year includes everybody. So it's not just, there might be some that could justify winning, but no, we haven't put any thought into that. We haven't, like, when I come up with the list of nominees, usually I start thinking about it at the start of the day. And then when I post it, that's usually when I have a few lists that of like nominees for the other ones that'll be announced this week and next week, I think. But the overall one is usually the first week of December, and I'm so excited for that time because everybody enjoys that.
When is the protein one close?
The first round is like, so we do round 1, and then it's a knockout of 16, then a knockout of 4, then the last 2. And so the first round of, I think there was like 160 protein powders in there or some shit. And that ends tonight at midnight. So the top 16 move forward, and then it's a knockout, then another one, and another one, another one. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty fun. Just go to proteinwars.com and you can check it out. I don't think I can say the top 16 right now.
So let me ask you this, Shane. What makes you choose a protein from a brand when a brand has multiple proteins in the line? I'll use a pollen, for example. Pollen's got 3 or 4 proteins. What makes you choose one specifically? I'm sure there's other brands that have multiple proteins in the line. What makes you pick specifically one?
They pick it, not me. Like, I'll choose some random one. Like, if Robic didn't say 50-50, I'd be like, I like Isaac Blast. I'll put that in there. And then if the brand reaches out and says, oh, hey, can we change it? Say, sure. I don't really care.
Okay.
It's entirely up to you. Like, NutriBio's obviously same boat. Optimum's in the same boat. Muscle Tech. There's a lot of them that have multiple on the market. So I just sort of go, and then if they want to change it, we change it. It doesn't really, I mean, it's interchangeable, really.
Right.
The brand promotes it or pushes it. It's more brand awareness and brand popularity that drives the votes, not necessarily which specific protein is kind of like doing it for them. If you're a fan of one of theirs, you're likely to support them regardless of which one it is.
Yeah, so go out and vote to throw in the losing brand the last 2 years. I mean, winning brand the last 2 years.
Last 2 years was run by Rise. Before that it was Ghost, and then I think prior to that was shit, I can't remember. I've got it written down, but yeah, those are the last 3 at the very least.
Robic, so asking you, were your numbers higher this year than last year, product wise? Have you trended what you dropped last year to this year?
Fuck yeah. 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 The whole goal for it, because every year I think any business sets a certain goal, and I think obviously like Shane said, everybody wants to win brand of the year. I mean, at least in this space, because this is the only brand of the year that actually makes sense, that does count, and everybody knows that. But besides the fact that when we it's not even about winning, but when we did the way we did in 2022, the whole point was, who do you usually go to when somebody's a champion, right? You have to be to beat the champion in order to become a champion, right? I mean, that's pretty much in any sport. If you take fighting, if you take any sport, you want to become number one, you have to beat number one if you are not number one. But what happens when you are the number one? What do you have to do? So technically speaking, you could say, well, I'm just going to do exactly the same what I did to become a champion, and that's going to be enough. That's the general idea. But I think that everybody now wants to do what the champ did, and you have hungry people who want to beat the champ. So the champ cannot remain the same just to stay a champ. The champ has to beat the best. It just happens to be that he is the best. So now your target should be yourself. So I will admit, partially because of brand of the year, why not? I can always say, what Shane said about supplements. If something can add 5% or 10%, a little bit more, he's willing to do it. He's willing to purchase that pre-workout. Those were his words. He's willing to go a little bit extra mile. So the same thing is, I decided to go and beat the champ, which was us. I think that's pretty much all it is.
Did you just do magic? Did everybody else see it?
Dude, we all saw that, right? That wasn't just me.
I saw some hearts coming from his hands there.
Oh, what?
How did he do that?
I have no idea. But yeah, so the whole idea was basically to remain in the same spot, and that's it.
Jessica standing on the other side of the desk and throw it in the air or something? Did you see it?
I don't know if you saw that, Robert. So when you made a heart symbol, it was like there was a heart animation on the screen. I don't know if you saw that.
That was for Sean.
Stop it.
No, but no. To go back, you just want to right now. Nobody won anything. Nobody has done anything. But the goal is what do brands in November usually plan? What is your plan for next year? So obviously, right now it's the plan for next year for 2024. What are we trying to do with the brand? Because if you don't have a concrete plan where you want to go and what you want to achieve, then it's pointless. I see other brands trying to copy each other. Other brands are trying to steal each other's ideas. I see it all the time. But I think that as long as I can raise the bar, as long as we can raise the bar and we can get better than we were last year, that was the whole goal. Will we be nominated? That's up to Shane. Will we win? That's up to Shane. What I do know is that that's a fact, that we've done a hell of a lot better. Yes, sales-wise, product-wise, launches-wise, we've done better than the previous year. And that was the whole goal, is to raise the bar from last year. Did anyone catch up to us? I don't think so. At least I don't see it. But that doesn't matter. The goal still remains to be better than we were last year in order to achieve not necessarily just brand of the year, but in order to raise the bar and to stay relevant in a very, very competitive space. And that's the only way to do it, whether it's launching products, innovations, and stepping up the game, because it's all about progress. You keep getting better, everything falls into places. So right now, you asked me just about numbers. Yes, the numbers are better than last year. Why? Because we worked our asses off and we've done everything as possible. And when somebody like Jake calls me, which he did, I think that was maybe 2 or 3 months ago that we spoke on the phone, And we didn't talk about brand of the year. We didn't talk about anything. We just talked. I don't even remember what we talked about. But when Jake said, basically observing, because Jake is actually one of our biggest partners, and he's been instrumental to our success, and I'm very grateful for that. But when somebody like Jake from the sidelines calls you and you talk about some shit, and all of a sudden he says, "You guys killed it. You did better than last year," and without knowing all the details, that says a lot. That's the biggest recognition you can get, and he's done it, I believe, 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah, well deserved, man.
David, as a consumer of many, many different products and categories, is there something you would love to see that you feel is missing? Maybe little hints to these gentlemen, or just in general. Have you thought about that? Would you really like to see anything, any category, any supplement, anything whatsoever?
I'll be honest with you. Seeing what Robert keeps putting out, it just it's pretty much says like, I was thinking about that. They're targeting both sides of the industry, not only the pre-workout side, the muscle building side, but also the health and wellness side. And that's pretty much what I would have liked to see, was more of that health and wellness side like he's been doing.
Okay.
A lot of companies are doing it. Jake's got single ingredients coming out. I mean, you just started doing that, right?
Yeah.
Months ago? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another thing too, single ingredients, because I run into a lot of people that on DMs just getting a hold of me. What can I stack with this? What can I put with this? So I think companies like Jake coming out with single ingredients are going to benefit in the long run, having those products out there. I mean, I like single ingredients.
Yep.
I know Ari's not a mad scientist, but I pretty much am. I got a shirt to prove it too, with Bill Murray on it. My wife got it for me.
Jake, how far in advance do you come up with products? 'Cause I know Robic, we talked, and he's already got like next year already planned out. For Extremis, how far out do you go? Or do you actually think that far?
Rob is definitely more prepared, man. Sometimes, I mean, this year it's felt like timeline has been really short, and I appreciate everybody from like start to finish. That like work on the labels, the people that print it, the people that put this thing together, the people that test a few ingredients in there, make sure everything's cool in there. Everyone, they've been pulling me big favors this year. Just try to meet a timeline. So I see like I want to do at least like 3 months. Like next year I have a plan of all the products we want to launch. And right now I'm with the graphic designer, just seeing how things look, and with the manufacturers, seeing, who can make the best thing, price point and stuff like that. So I'm definitely trying like 4 months, 3 to 4 months. But
with the store move though, that probably derailed you a little bit because you just moved into the bigger store this year, right?
Yeah. Well, it was December last year.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's also, it's also a juggle. A lot of stuff going on.
All right.
Yeah, like for Black Friday, it's been insane trying to, because every brand has like a different thing. Like there's some brands that aren't shipping to their wholesalers for like 2 weeks.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so you got to buy everything you can before like you run out, and you don't have those items for your customers.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been a little hectic.
And then Robic and Shane, I'm hearing rumors on the mill here that you guys are starting another podcast.
What? I heard it was you and Robic.
Not me. All right. Well, I guess it was just a rumor then. But anyway, guys.
Whenever there is a rumor, there is some truth to it too. So.
Okay.
I think that something is definitely in the works, but let's see how it goes.
I think I'll be a special guest.
He just basically confirmed it.
I think I'll be a special guest of This Thing Works. I don't know how many weekends or how much free time I'm going to have within the next 3 months.
Okay. So, guys, open floor as we wind down here. Any questions for anybody, each other, anything whatsoever? I'll take that as a no.
I think you have them all lined up.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, so I think most of them here that we've gotten through a lot of them. Jake and Robic at the Arnold. Any more? So here's one. Any more food products in the future for Robic?
Well, we just released hot rice, which is doing absolutely phenomenal. I'm not sure if we're gonna do more in terms of like necessarily food, but we definitely gonna expand that into more flavors, just because of the success that comes with it. I think that what David said in terms of like the health line and like Jake does the single ingredients and stuff like that. I think that it's very, very important to kind of expand. And like we actually had a meeting today when we were talking about, whether a certain brand is a protein company or like initially, and I said it many times, Shane labeled upon as a pre-workout company, at least initially. I think that that's not necessarily a bad thing. You can be a pre-workout company. You can be a protein company, Gold Standard. I mean, they have a bunch of other products, but it's that protein that everybody knows them about, that knows them as. I think that it doesn't hurt to expand your horizons a little bit and try to cater to more, I don't want to say mainstream, but wider audience, so to speak. And you can definitely expand to more. I take tremendous pride in the fact that on one hand, we still know somebody very, very big in the industry called me the pre-workout king a couple of days ago. And part of me was like, what the fuck? I don't want to be called that. On the other hand, it is a compliment. It is a compliment in a way, but the thing is it's all about expanding. Like, we started putting promos on Times Square in New York. And when you have somebody like Mr. Walsh from Muscle Tech approaching us at the Olympia and saying that he's impressed, I mean, you kind of look at it like, okay, you know what? It's not just, although we debuted with Assassin, so we still made that debut on Times Square with Assassin, but it's no longer just Assassin. We actually secured Times Square pretty much for every week until the end of the year. So it's something innovative, and pre-workouts are not going to play the main role when it comes to it. We're going to promote different products, and different events, just like we did promote Black Friday right now with my dog featured in it. So it's cool to kind of expand and see that you can offer a little bit more than just a pre-workout. I think that's, even single ingredients, there are some very, very cool single ingredients that do provide, tremendous benefit. Like we talked about ashwagandha or berberine. I understand that a lot of people are doing them, but it doesn't hurt for your brand. You can be a one-stop shop where people go on your website and they can get a pre-workout, but they can also get different types of protein, and they can get a single ingredient product. I think that's great when you can expand and grow and see that, and prove to your audience and to your people that you're not just a one-trick pony. You can do a lot more than that. And that was our goal, for example. That's what we were trying to do. And, I think just continuing on the same trend. And I told Shane when we did the podcast, you cannot win brand of the year every year. It's impossible. You cannot win 7 times or 8 times. You can win 2, you can win 3, maybe even 4. But at the end of the day, what it attributes to is releases, innovations, and stuff like that. I mean, unfortunately, we don't have innovations every year where they so impactful and they so impressive. And we cannot release 50 or 60 products every year for the longest duration of time. Somebody else will release more and will expand more, but you can still make your brand stronger. You can still make an impact. You can still, I have no plans to have as many releases in 2024. I don't have plans to, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to sit still and I'm not going to do anything. I mean, you guys know me pretty well. When the All-Star seminar ended, I remember somebody said something and Shane goes, he's probably planning the next one right now. He said something like that. I was like, he knows me. He knows me well. And I think that that's the attitude that I pride myself for. I think that that's what everybody should be doing. If you want to grow, Now is the time, not tomorrow. You have to keep raising the bar a little bit constantly and just keep going. I'm glad to see what Jake is doing. He's moving to a bigger place. He's releasing more products. He's paying attention more to his labels and even to a name of the product, to the name of the brand. I think that that's very, very impressive. On the other hand, what Shane has done, well, technically it's next year because the Arnold Classic is next year. But he worked, I'm honored and privileged that I've known about this before it even, before everybody else knew. And he trusted me with that. So I know how hard he worked from day one to put all this together and to see to what it's becoming, this fucking massive machine, is very, very impressive. But I know the guy worked his ass off. He was visiting us here in New Jersey. He still went to the gym. We still bullshitted. We still hung out. But in the process, he had those meetings. In the process, at the gym, he was on the phone constantly. So I know because I witnessed what he went through. So whatever it's going to pay off, and however it's going to pay off, it just shows it's a testament of his hard work and dedication to what he's done. Same goes for David. And it's not that I'm kind of sugarcoating or throwing around compliments. I'm just telling the truth. It's not just me. This is the group of people that I'm actually
What in me?
that is very, very impressive. And
What has he got on his camera? I want that shit. How come I can't get hearts and fire?
And I think that that David, I said it before and I'll say it again. I think he's the best review channel right now that we have. It's so beneficial to the industry when the guy just breaks down each and every ingredient the way he does. It's super fucking impressive. And, I actually watched your YouTube video recently about DMAE, and I was so impressed with it because that's an ingredient that I lately wanted to put in a certain pre-workout. And because of your video, it helped me make up my mind. That video was priceless. And a lot of people will not probably watch it. I'm sorry, David. It's just the truth because they're not like I am. A lot of people not going to give a shit about that video. Why? Because he doesn't talk about a pre-workout that slaps. He talks about an ingredient. But I learned from that video. I thought it was very, very good. And like I said, I literally was working on the ingredient for my own pre-workout, and he convinced me whether to use it or not.
Any residual from that? I'm just joking.
Should be.
I'm just playing around with you. To be honest with you, I was talking to Sean before. I don't believe that a lot of people. I do the videos actually for the sake of the industry in general, not just to do the videos, because I believe, like, as I've been doing the research on all these ingredients and I've been studying things and how they act. Of course, some ingredients do have some negative effects to them. They can, if you combine them, whatever. But I believe there's just still this misconception out there that pre-workouts are bad for you. There's a majority of the population, 30, 40%, maybe more, that don't take pre-workouts, just drink a cup of coffee because they assume that the ingredients in a pre-workout are bad for you. And I feel I wanted to do a service for those that are putting these products out, for one thing, and for those interested as well, about the ingredients, so that the knowledge is out there that the stuff is not bad. It's therefore there's health to them. There's experience as far as in the gym. There's things that you can benefit from these ingredients and pre-workouts. So anyways, I was just, yeah.
I honestly think you should continue doing that because I think that does tremendous service to people that want to know. I always say that, there are not pre-workouts, there are products for everyone. If you want a shitty pre-workout or you want a shitty product, there is a lot of them on the market. If you want something good, I might say that I want the best pre-workout or I want the best protein. I didn't say the best tasting. I said the most effective and the best. And where do I go? Maybe I don't know all the ingredients. I don't know what Alpha GPC is supposed to doses for Alpha GPC is or for DMAE. I mean, I've seen DMAE at the dosage of 100 milligram, But just when I talked to Robert Chinetsky, I think actually we talked 2 days ago, but we talked about DMA, and he said that he'd rather see it in a dosage of about 750 to, I think he said 875, if I'm not mistaken. So it's pretty much high up there for it to be effective, according to him. And then you see in one of those kitchen sink products, you will see DMA. Cool. Now, number one, I know why it's been used, because it sounds like DMAA. So I know that that's one of the reasons why it's used. Right. On the other hand, it says DMAE 50 milligram or 100 milligram. Well, might as well not put it in there, because it doesn't do shit.
No, the studies on DMAE, depending on the individual, depending on what you stack it with, it's 100 milligrams to 800 milligrams. So you can't go on the low end depending on what else you're putting in there. The only problem with that ingredient is it inhibits cholinogenic receptors. So if you're stacking other choline sources to it, you might not benefit from the hit from the alpha GPC or the choline bitartrate. And then also you have the factor like I was talking about as far as just the brain hit. Just depends on what you're trying to drive in a product. But I don't have anything against the ingredient. It just was something I was talking about because I didn't want that experience in the pre that I was putting together.
What is your top 3 choices for a nootropic?
Ingredient wise?
Yeah.
I'm more on the healthier side. I like to stack alpha-litic acid, acetyl-L-carnitine, and what was the other one? I actually have it in there in the cupboard.
That line's made.
And then choline, basically. Alpha-litic acid helps with the cholinogenic. Actually, alpha-litic acid, 500 milligrams to 1 gram, actually works like Huperzine A, as far as it's a acetylcholinesterase inhibitor. So it helps keep the choline up there for a longer period of time.
Do you
stack it with a choline source, and then you have the acetyl L-carnitine, which actually really just drives you in your head. You do 1 gram of that. You do, I'd say, 50 milligrams of alpha-litic acid, and 500 to a gram of either choline bitartrate or alpha GPC. You got a nice memory, cognitive function head hit on you.
So 2 questions, actually, for personal reason and just out of curiosity. Do you like Huperzine A?
I know it's got some benefits as far as relieving toxins out of the body, or as far as the brain, heavy metals and stuff like that. It's just, I'm not a big, even though alpha GPC, I would rather choose an ingredient that has that effect as Huperzine A has, but then also has other effects. If you research alpha-litic acid, it's got 10 different benefits in the body on the cellular level and all throughout the body, as far as not just the brain hit. So I would choose that over Huperzine A. It's not that I don't like Huperzine A, but if you're designing a pre-workout where you just need that extra hit, then Huperzine A is a great ingredient just to kind of keep the choline elevated at that time. So,
and what would you say right now? A lot of companies are, including us, Alpha GPC is banned in Europe pretty much. What would you consider as a good replacement?
I think, see, the choline bitartrate is actually good, but it doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier very well. But it is 40% choline, so it does throw that in there, and some of it will cross the blood-brain barrier. That's pretty much the other alternative, other than using something like looking into like alpha-litic acid, which has been shown to actually increase acetylcholine as well. Some kind of a combination of those two to elevate the choline in the brain, rather than trying to find some kind of alternative source of choline that can be used within those countries, or where it's banned, by using like choline bitartrate with alpha GPC. It hits pretty good, just those 2 ingredients alone, as far as if someone's looking for an acetylcholine hit. So it's just something to think about.
Is acetylcholine is that banned in Europe?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
You like acetylcholine? Or?
It's too much of a head hit for me.
Yeah.
It crosses the blood-brain barrier, but it's more of a nootropic hit for me, as far as for studying and stuff like that.
I got
in a pre, it's kind of hard unless you're combining, doing that little formula where it's Alpha GPC, acetylcholine and choline bitartrate. I don't know if you what that form is, but there's a patented little concoction.
Yeah. No. I know what you're talking about. Glaxon uses it.
Right,
Choline,
exactly.
is that
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, it's some kind of a trademark ingredient that's got all three sources in it.
Yeah.
There's another choline source that you can use that you can elevate acetylcholine. You can use phosphatidylserine, which is going to do it in a different manner as far as with the on a cellular level. It's going to antagonize to actually release the phosphatidylcholine that's on the outside of the cell. And phosphatidylcholine, unfortunately, is too kind of sketchy with people. It doesn't hit everybody the same way. Some people can really draw you in your head, and some people, it hits nice, and then some people they don't feel it that much unless it's at a certain dose. But phosphatidylserine actually is a decent, steady ingredient that you can use for a head hit for the choline increase there as well.
Okay.
Yeah, lab coat.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you're speaking really in depth.
So I always say classes in session. But Robert, just to repeat, you said that you're going to slow down a little bit next year. Is that because you're going to go to magic school?
I think that, in terms of releases we've done, it's very, very hard to top last year, and we succeeded. We topped last year pretty much considerably. But the thing is that more is not always better in terms for the brand. And I think that we put everything we could into releasing as many as possible products on all fronts. We have Apollo Nutrition, we have Apollo Health. There is, the collaboration. I don't know how you want to call it, but like you said, the announcement is going to be on Apollo Nutrition and on Stack probably within, I would say, immediately after Black Friday. We're probably going to announce what's coming, and that's going to be pretty big. I would say it's huge. I'm very, very proud of it, and that's where Karolina comes, and that's where the stupid rumor started. But I think that we exercised everything we could possibly do now to try and, compete in terms of releases, launches, and all that next year. Don't forget, as January started, I kept my promise. I said we're going to release at least 2-3 products every month, and we're not going to slow down. And we've done that up until about July. Starting July, which is midpoint of the year, we had a release every freaking week. Every week without missing a beat. We had, and it wasn't just not to talk shit or anything about NutraBio. I have tremendous respect for that company. I have tremendous respect for Mark Glazier. But when they were releasing, they had a release, I think, every week or something like that for a certain period of time, a couple of months. It was very, very one-dimensional. It was mostly flavors and stuff like that. We didn't. We went to food. We went to vegan. We went to, pre-workouts. You name it, we've done it. Different cultures, Diwali. You name it. Again, we've done it. There is nothing we haven't done. Pretty much everything. And as November and December right now upcoming, there's going to be even more, a lot more. So I would say the average is even more than once a week. Is that the goal for 2024? That shouldn't be the goal for 2024. So no, I can wholeheartedly, with utmost, I'm convinced we're not going to have as many releases. Will we have releases? Yes, of course. Hooligan V70 is coming. That's going to be a major release. We're going to have a couple of very cool releases. Anarchy Labs is going to be launched in 2024 just because there was no more space and we didn't want to take away from certain things that we were doing. Everything is lined up for Anarchy Labs to be launched early in 2024. So we're still going to be very, very busy, but I would call it more of solidifying our place in the industry and making a statement and making the product. Like right now, we built this this brand, and we still keep building it, and we keep improving it, and we keep growing it. But now we're going to actually refine it and make it a Ronnie Coleman, after all the mess that's been built, and all the hype and all the craziness, and and moving away from just the pre-workout brand to two-time brand of the year that is very, very diverse. And we build it, Shane has seen, you have seen our team. We're not a big team. So for something like that to achieve what we achieved, it took a lot of extremely hard work, extreme dedication. And again, when you go to the Olympia, I went to the Olympia many times. I went to the Arnold Classic. I went to Supply Side last year. It was nowhere near the reception that we've had this year. When you're sitting, you're drinking coffee or something like that, and somebody approaches you and says, your dark chocolate is the best protein I've ever had. Or again, Scott Walsh comes and he goes, I have no idea how you've done it. We at Muscle Tech cannot do what you've done. Or the guy, I forgot his name, Shane, from Gym, the Formulation. Yeah, when he comes and he introduces himself, and I look at him like, who the fuck is that? But apparently he's very well known and respected individual within, and he says that how impressed with the company. That says a lot. That says that you arrived and you've made your mark. And I think that we've made our mark. And for next year, it's all about refining and making sure that we are here to stay, and we are here to stay for foreseeable future. That's the main thing, is to make sure that we keep releases, but maybe not as aggressive. Just making the company overall better, growing the company, and focusing on little details within the company.
Perfect. Well, guys, as we wind down here, it's always good to get together. I know, Jake, it's been a while since I've seen you, and David, same thing. I know, Shane, we saw each other a couple of weeks ago, Robic as well. But anything else as we wind down here, guys? Otherwise, we'll let everybody get back to their day.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And it's always fun talking to you guys. And, we should definitely do it more often. And I just want to say thank you to everybody for your support. Keep killing it. Shane, congratulations. I know you worked very, very hard for it. And I'm pretty sure Arnold Classic is going to be a huge success. And, I wish you the best because you deserve it. David, phenomenal reviews. Keep them coming. As I said many times, you are the best in the industry. That goes without saying. And Jake, thank you for your friendship. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and everybody, it's a pleasure. David, where can people learn about you? Plug your social media, Instagram, everything else, please.
Just my name, David Frederickson, or at missiontomuscle.com. DS Frederickson on Instagram. No TikTok. I have one, but nah. It's annoying.
And Jake, what about the store? Give me the address of the store in case people are in the Georgia area.
It's 1010 North Houston Road, Warner Robins, Georgia.
And it's NutriCartel, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And then Shane, yourself?
Stacked on whatever it says on the screen. Stack 3D, as Americans like to say.
.com.
.com. That's it. There we go. Yeah.
And Robert, you never like to plug yourself. We like to leave you alone. But as always, thank you so much, everybody, for chiming in. You guys stick around for a moment. But as always, thank you so much. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Thank you.